So
Welcome back to the Weekly Boost, episode 49, right, Austin?
that's right. Yeah,
Uh,
49.
Coming with some baseball talk. It's fitting. Home run derbies tonight when
Yep.
this releases. We're recording this Wednesday night, so we got another series and a half, I think, for all the clubs.
Yeah.
But we're already halfway through the season, so I think this is a good time for us to kind of implement baseball back into our show. I know we kind of strayed away from it a little bit here. I'm excited because baseball, I mean, we finally get a full season. We got a lot of things to kind of talk through, and that's the beauty of baseball, right? Like there's the standings and the power rankings at the beginning of the season are nowhere near what they are today. There's been some underdog stories, it seems like, and some really good storylines. One for the future of the game, and two to make it exciting, hopefully down the stretch here. But first, I'm gonna start with you. Like, how are you doing? I know you've been working a lot. Like, less than a month before moving now?
That's right. Yeah, less than a month. Some excellent news. I was able to sign my lease, get the apartment that I wanted, all this sort of stuff moving forward. I'm able to kind of live and enjoy myself at the same time at the place I'm going to be at. So I'm going to have, nice roof over my head, as well as certain amenities that are going to be nice for me to feel like I'm at home, when I'm going to be close to 1,000 miles away. So I'm really excited, looking forward to that. Every day I'm, either picking something up for the new place or looking at new stuff, kind of like that whole like new shopping thing, because for me, this is the first time living off campus. Like I never rented or did like an apartment style stuff during college or during my undergraduate. So it was a lot of it was dorm living. So, you don't need appliances in a dorm room. You don't need a lot of furniture in a dorm room. So some big stuff coming, with the purchases and all that sort of stuff. But I'm excited, and it's going to be cool to be, sort of in the same location, being able to discuss, podcast topics for for our viewers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so I'm just looking forward to it.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, and I think we're not going to have too many episodes between here and now where it's just like us like reflecting. So maybe this is a good time to start it.
I think so.
But like, we're going to have an opportunity that's going to be very foreign to us, and because Zoom calls and like FaceTimes to try to work through pod material is kind of, it's difficult. Like we're not in the same spot. You're not in a totally focused work mood. So this will be nice that we can kind of utilize the mutual spaces that we have on campus and in apartments to
the grad student lounge is looking just amazing right now. I just I'm envisioning it in my head over and over again from the 2 times that I've been down there. It's just I'm excited for that aspect of it. But we're some cool things coming your way as as an audience perspective. Just
for sure,
we're able to communicate better when we're in person and all that sort of stuff, being able to collaborate and bring better content to you guys. So looking forward to that.
Busy summer though, for both of us. I remember last summer it was like I was done with my job in July, like right around this time. So I've been gone for a year full time there. That's crazy. But like you're getting stuff packed. Like you said, every time you go out, you're like, oh, maybe I need this. And like you're trying to, check every box, and then you're working every day too. And like, it's stressful. And then, for me, I got a trip home. Like when this releases, I'll be back home, and then got another trip planned and trying to cram those in before school starts back up. But let's talk a little baseball here. Cause I mean, do you have time? Like, have you, been following a lot? Like, are you kind of on the, on the fence with some of this stuff? Like, where are you at?
Well, I'm happy you brought up kind of our time commitments and how we're, kind of really busy this summer. And unfortunately, I've been busy, too busy to the point where I haven't been able to sit down and watch, as amount of sports as I wanted to. Like, I think last year I was able to watch, when they were able to actually play, the shortened season. I watched a good majority of those games because I was like, hey, baseball's back, kind of a thing. It brought that excitement and stuff like that. But I just don't know. I don't feel that same kind of passion. Now, granted, it is probably due to the fact that, when I get done with work, I'm exhausted, and then I got a bunch of other stuff to do. And, baseball's probably been on the back burner for me for 2+ years now. And so like that idea of trying to, get myself emotionally involved with it again it's hard because I was so involved with it for the longest time. It's kind of nice to have a break from it. But I will say that despite the instances where baseball players are scrutinized for having fun, like the instances in between then, I will say this season is pretty cool. Just the the underdog stories you're hearing, and the certain players that don't expect to succeed just because, I don't want to say skill level wise, but just opportunity presented to them is kind of diminished as they've been fluctuating between low A ball, double A, triple A, and then into the show. Like, you get to see these stories of these individuals come forward, and it's pretty cool. Like, you talk about the first no hitter in Padres history.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Musgrove throws that this year. Like, how incredible is that? Like, you think of Joe Musgrove, he was on the Pirates for a little bit, wasn't he? I think so.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember watching like some of those games and then hearing about it, like, hey, you just made history for the Padres. Like, that's a story that you'd never think of, like an unlikely hero kind of a deal. And then you hear all the benefits that he has in San Diego now, like unlimited beer and burgers at restaurants and stuff like that. It's just, it's cool. Like, you see some of these, outside of baseball kind of instances that make the game more applicable to the everyday individual, and making it more accessible, I think, is another thing that we're seeing. But it's hard to stay into it right now for me.
Yeah. It's well, I mean, I'm still excited about it. I've been following various outlets for content, and trying to watch and listen to the Brewers as much as I can, and just follow up with baseball as much as I can. It's just pitching has been just dominant. It's the 7 no-hitters already. There was a 7-inning no-hitter on I think the Rays threw one the other day, and like, I know that doesn't necessarily count for the record books, but like, we'll start with no-hitters, right?
Yeah.
The Cubs no-hit the Dodgers, right? Combined no-hitter. Then what happened? They fell off.
Yeah.
It's like they can't win a game right now.
Yeah. I think I saw the last time I checked, they've lost 9 in a row or something like that, 9 or 10 in a row.
Nuts.
Or they might have broke it. That's how much I've been paying attention. Now, granted, I'm a Cubs fan, but I'm also one of those fans that, like, I'm not a like everybody else is the enemy kind of a fan. I just enjoy the sport.
Sure.
So if there's good players on other teams, I'll root for them. But I'm born and raised Cubs fan, so that's how it comes. But I like the Brewers just as much, just because they're how do you hate the Brewers, right? Like, well, it's really hard to hate them
as a Cubs fan. Like, you're kind of told to hate the Brewers, but we'll move past that. I guess.
No, that's more of a Cardinals thing. But anyway, like, you're exactly right.
I don't know, man.
I don't know. Sorry, Mark. Sorry, Mark Baden, if you're listening. I just don't like the Cardinals. But you're right. Like, the idea of the up and down part of baseball is just nuts to me. And you're able to see that. Like, the Cubs were probably one of the better examples of it.
Yeah, they were tied for first place.
Yeah, tied with. They were in first for maybe a couple of games here and there, but like, they were. I don't want to say the clear-cut NL Central favorites, because you saw that they weren't, but they were. There was like that trend, that trend up. Like, you were seeing that as they kept winning games, and then all of a sudden, they do something spectacular, like a combined no-hitter, and then it's just like they don't show up. They can't show up now, and that goes to say something about like that build up feeling of like getting to a certain point, and then you get there and you're like, oh wow, like I made it, and then like, now what? You don't think about the next part. I feel like there might be some of that at play. Like they put so much attention on the no-hitter and like the praise to their bullpen and their pitching staff.
Sure.
And then they're like, okay, now what? Like, what do we do now? Well, and then like, what's the point of competing if we've already thrown a no-hitter? I don't know how much that plays a part, but to me, that would I would see something like that kind of being in a rumor mill or something. Of
I don't know, because like, you're at 11 in a row now.
11?
Yeah,
they've dropped 11 in a row. Okay.
I mean, they gave a grand slam the other night in the first inning.
Yeah, I did see that actually.
I mean, they go from tied at first and to top of the division to now 8.5 back. They're like I said, 11 game skid, and now. Like you said, how much does the no-hitter play into it? I mean, maybe the first couple of games, but at a certain point, it's like, a different series and everything. I mean, who were they even playing? I don't even know. I mean, they got the Phillies now.
They got swept by the Brewers, and by swept, I mean absolutely demolished. I don't know if I've seen a series I don't know if I've seen a series with more runs scored. Like, that was incredible. There was like a 15-7, and then like
they were up 7-0, and then the Brewers came back, scored 8 unanswered.
Yeah.
So they got swept by the Reds. They are losing to the Phillies. They're winning tonight in the second here. But yeah, after the no-hitter on the 24th of June, they lost 3 to the Dodgers. And then, yeah, but again, with how streaky baseball can be, who knows where they're going to end up. But
yeah, you're right.
Let's go back. Okay. Let's start with the power rankings from before opening day. And we'll look at the teams now, division by division. We can kind of talk through this.
Yeah, I like this.
All right. So ahead of opening day, this is from MLB.com, so don't come after me. Dodgers, number 1. Padres, 2. Yankees, 3. Braves, 4. That's an interesting storyline. White Sox, 5. And then rounding out the top 10 is Twins, Mets, Rays, Blue Jays, Cardinals.
Okay.
Cubs and Brewers, 13, 14. All right, moving into today.
Yeah, this is great.
Well, as of
I'm already looking at this. Yeah, this is great.
Oh no, where is it?
I have it up right now if you want me to.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
So as of today, total MLB standings, AL, NL included, all in one. San Francisco number 1, Houston number 2, LA number 3, Boston 4, White Sox 5, and then Milwaukee 6, Tampa Bay 7, San Diego 8, Oakland 9, New York Mets 10. And then Cubs almost bottom of the barrel. Actually, Arizona's bottom of the barrel this time. So
yeah, Arizona's not doing
no.
And then they beat the Brewers, or they took a series from them. But
yeah.
Okay, so starting in the NL East, right? The Mets. That's not too familiar with the Mets to talk much about them. But
I think they got arguably the greatest pitcher in the sport right now.
Gosh,
I think one of the most talented, got the best pitching repertoire, and just talk about a guy who doesn't give up free bases. I think you and I were talking back and forth before. He had like 137 strikeouts to 11 walks.
Yeah. So he's at what? What is that? What did I say? 137.
It was like I thought it was like 16 or 15.
It's 12.
Ks.
So it's 12. It's 12 strikeouts for every walk, which is nuts, dude. The starting pitcher. Like looking at his overlays too with like Pitching Ninja on Twitter is like unreal. They just
you see like
tunneling is ridiculous.
A 102 mile an hour, 4-seamer coming in at you, and then the same arm slot, same wrist action produces a slider that just drops off the earth. It's like, so I feel bad for hitters when he's on the bump. But no, granted, he gave up 2 home runs today when we're recording this episode, but the Mets walked it off. So he is hittable, as people can see, but he had like a 0.95 ERA or something like that.
It jumped it up to 108 now. He's 7-2 with a 108 and 146 strikeouts through 92 innings pitched with a .54 WHIP. That's nuts.
Yeah.
I mean, DeGrom has just been unreal. Did you see he opted out of the All-Star game though?
Well, I mean,
it's a meaningless game now. It doesn't determine the World Series home field advantage, which I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of that. I think that's that there was a purpose. Special.
Yeah. It was like the Pro Bowl too. It was like the Pro Bowl determining the Super Bowls, kind of.
Yeah. And now it's just like spectacles. I was listening to something today that was like, okay, we'll move the All-Star game to the end of the year then, like the Pro Bowl. Like all these All-Star game nods that don't really mean much at the midway point because of that's through 82 games roughly around there. A lot can happen. You can fall off and then you have a horrible second half.
This is a funny way to look at it. This might be the first time I've ever thought of it like this, but like, imagine this is the All-Star break or whatever for either sport, NBA or MLB. It's like the player's vacation, right? Yeah. And so now, granted, imagine having to play and like work through your vacation. That's what I kind of feel like it does. And now, granted, this is the same kind of debate that you can have with, well, do these players deserve to have this amount of money? And like, is this really a game to them? Like, is it an actual job? Whatever. But like, you think about it. They play 162 games and then playoffs or whatever. You'd want your break in the middle, right? Wouldn't you much rather have something at the end, like when not all the teams are actually playing and like vying for a spot in the playoffs? So like once you have the playoff field set, I think that's when you could make the All-Star game kind of. I think that's a cool.
Or you give everybody a week off, an extra week off between the CS and the World Series.
Yeah,
World Series people sit out just like the Super Bowl. I like that idea, with also keeping like the Derby and other things like that, or not necessarily Derby, but like give them a week off in the middle.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
Because
or
I think it would
spread
be
the schedule out more.
because what would be cool is like you got the guys that have already hit all of their years worth of home runs, right? And you don't hear that home run derby curse or like the slump after the derby. You let these guys that have hit 40, 50, 60 home runs a year just absolutely just slug it out at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Like no, like they're not holding back anything. They're not like thinking about the curse of the MLB home run derby or anything like that. Like
their swings all messed up.
They're just like boom, like let's go. Let's just I think that would actually be more entertaining because
for sure
guys are just not holding anything back. They're just out there to hit nukes. That's all you want to do.
And I think there's did you play in Cooperstown?
No,
did you ever go?
I could have, but I didn't want. I think I had other stuff going on.
So Cooperstown, like they have, skills competitions, right? Where it's like the fastest around the horn and like all this stuff, or like even with NHL having like the fastest skater and like these other like shootout competitions and things like that. Like, I feel like MLB should do something like that too. And like, I'm not trying to steal anybody else's content by like saying this. Like, I think this is a really great idea brought up by other people where it's like, have them find out who the fastest around the bases is, or have them, figure out, have a gold glove competition, like at the end of practices, like in youth or like, select ball, whatever. Just finding ways to keep it, more interesting. And like, I don't know about you, but like, I've always been a fan of the celebrity softball game.
Always watching
that after the home run derby.
Bill Nye the Science Guy is unequivocally the GOAT of that for some reason. Just because the dude, again, going back to an old episodes, you'd see the guy on a push cart TV, and then he's out there hitting nukes. He's hitting
trying
nukes. to. in a celebrity softball game. I just think that's cool stuff that they do to bring good publicity to the sport. Because I mean, right now there's a major topic kind of shrouding baseball about a really well-known pitcher, Trevor Bauer. We won't get into that stuff in this episode, but like you hear, like there's always some sort of MLB news in the news, and we want to make it as positive as possible. So like, why not try to do these cool positive things?
Well, especially with like the Astros stuff coming out in 27 or recently and all that stuff. Yeah. We'll get into scandal stuff at the end of this one.
Yeah. Well, the Mets brought this up in the power rankings next to Ground.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Giants pre-opening day, ranked 22nd. They're leading MLB. And their division. That's a crazy
they're the Giants 53 and 32
would be leading the NL West, that has a division with the Dodgers that have basically a super team. And then you have San Diego, who makes huge moves in the offseason and signs Tatis with his money trees.
And what's even what's even better is like Colorado isn't even that bad.
You didn't catch
the money trees. I got you.
Colorado.
I was trying to talk over you, but getting rid of Arenado, that's a big deal. But Trevor Story is still a good ball player and stuff like that, but their pitching staff is what's hurting them. Same thing with Arizona. Like you can see these problems, and they're not really problems. They're just areas of improvement for a lot of these teams, and it just stems to the idea that like you have teams like the Dodgers, right? Like literally the epitome of a super team in Major League Baseball. Like it is without a doubt one of the closest we'll ever see to a team full, 1 through 9, all of them can do damage. Even their pitchers. I don't know how accurate that is, but I just feel like I'd be intimidated. Got Kershaw at the plate.
He's the one that kind of he gets pushed to the back burner lately. It seems like he's just been getting for so long, where it's like,
that's
Bauer
like Trout too.
Yeah. Well, Trout's been hurt a bunch so far.
I know.
Which the Angels too have been another great story for them to.
And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But
they got a phenom over there, and
but one of the things that I like looking at when I'm looking at these standings, and I see it almost every year, and it's probably like the driving characteristic of this division. But look at the NL Central. Now the Brewers are a little bit of an outlier in this. They're 51 and 36. But you look at how close NL Central is. You got Cincinnati 45-41, St. Louis 43-44, the Cubs 42-44, and Pittsburgh 32-54. I feel like the NL Central and maybe the AL Central, those two divisions just beat the crap out of each other all the time. I feel like it's either a split series or a losing series for like either one. They just flip flop. It's almost like they like to, never get easy wins off the bad teams in their division. Somebody always has to drop a 3-game skid to somebody. Like I've always noticed that, because you never see a team in NL Central unless they're like, the unanimous World Series favorites coming out, the number one team in baseball, like coming out with a win percentage higher than 600. I feel like it's really, you seldom see that. Whereas you got teams in the NL West, the Dodgers always have, a win percentage like of 670 or something, like something nuts.
Win 100 games every year.
Yeah, like every year. And you're sitting down, you're like, wait a minute, like why is it? Well, I think it's a funny little observation, because it's every year the NL Central is just beating up on each other.
Well, and I'm anxious to see what that race looks like down the stretch. Like if the Giants heat up still, or if 3 teams from the NL West make the playoffs. Yeah. With 2 wild cards, and then they would play in the wild card game too. I think playoff format is back to normal. Do you know offhand?
I am not aware.
Okay.
I have not followed it as closely as I probably would have liked to.
Okay.
But.
So I'm on Fangraphs right now.
Yeah. And
the projected full season win-loss for the Dodgers right now is 98-64. And then the next best is the Astros with 96-66, and then 95-67 with the Red Sox.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at their playoff odds, and Fangraphs is usually pretty good, but again, their computers in baseball is very unpredictable. The Red Sox have an 89.9% chance to make the playoffs and a 10% chance to win the World Series. White Sox 96% to make the playoffs and another 10% for the World Series. Astros 97% to make the playoffs. Mets 82% to make the playoffs. Brewers 85 right now. Hopefully. Dodgers 99.5, Padres 94, and Giants 81%. And then the Dodgers have the greatest percentage to win the World Series right now for playoff odds.
Yeah.
Who do you think? Do you think that there's an upset brewing in one of these divisions where the leader doesn't? You know what I mean?
I like that. I know. Yeah, I like that. And you want to know what? I don't know why I have this. Partly because I don't know. I've always thought that they were like a sleeper team, just because they don't get like the B-rated, stars, but you see pretty big pieces on other teams go to this team that don't necessarily are considered like great players. They're good players, but Tampa Bay Rays, for some reason, their pitching staff is pretty good. They got some fireballers for sure, but they got pretty solid outfield. Kevin Kiermaier, if he's still on the team, I think Tommy Pham's on the Rays. No, is he on the Padres now? He's a Padres now. Okay, but I'm talking about like characters like that, where they come together and make a pretty coherent group of individuals to win a ball game. Yeah, and like right now they're sitting 51-36. I wouldn't bat an eye if they go above 500 in their next 10 games, just because that's the kind of streaks that we see in baseball. But I think the Rays are a pretty good one to challenge the Red Sox, and probably NL West. I have a really strong feeling that the Giants are gonna
keep turning on.
I think they're just for some reason I was actually able to watch some of their games. They just have the right players in the right positions, and that goes to say something, because now granted they don't have the most talented. They don't have the best players per position in the entire league on their team. They have players that work well together, and I think that talks about the camaraderie that you need to win ball games. And the Cubs right now, that's why I'm seeing this skid, is I just don't think they have that camaraderie. And I feel like the Cubs are actually I think they're going to finish 4th in the division, or 5th, probably. Actually, not 5th. I don't think they catch the Pirates, but I think they finish
4.
I really do. And it's sad, because I'd want them to finish higher, but
yeah. So, I mean, you look at the Giants, they got Buster Posey, who's having an unreal season. I mean, he's
for how long he's been in the league.
Yeah, he's the starting catcher for the National League tomorrow. And then you have Kevin Gausman, who's was at a time in the National League the second best pitcher. He's having a great year. And then you look, there's no Johnny Cueto, but he's up there in age. I don't know what,
because he was on there when they won, I think, their second
14
ring.
Yeah. And then, I mean, Brandon Crawford, he's been around for a while.
Yeah.
They have Mike Yastrzemski.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Brandon Belt, too. Is he still there?
Yeah, he was on there in I think 14
Maybe
as
not.
well.
Where is Brandon Belt? Why can I not?
I think he's on
But
there.
yeah,
I just think he was been hurt on and off.
I think that's a really good storyline there for the Giants too. Like that's one of those teams that you want to root for them because it's not the big power two over there in
but at the
Southern
same
California.
but at the same time, I was sick and tired of them winning every even series or
Yeah.
every even year World Series for 3 years. I was like, dog, come on, can we have a different team go
12, 14
in the World Series? Yeah, I was like, come on, like can somebody else show up and like beat them? But it just goes to show that I think they've owned the tens, the decade, like the tens of baseball. Like I mean, three ships, and I get, what is it, 9 or 11 years, however they classify like the decade. Do they count, 09-10 season, whatever? You know what I'm saying? But like to win 3 championships and quite possibly be on track to win a 4th in the span of 15 years is kind of that's like the Bronx Bombers, like New York Yankees type deal, like back in the 20s, 30s kind of era. And that's something that you don't see too often in this game. So
yeah, I mean, they won in 10, 12, 14, 16 was the one where it's like, okay,
yeah,
that would have been a heck of a solidification of their legacy for the tens. But 3 in a decade, every other year is pretty good. Yeah, like you said, NL Central, I think, honestly, I can see the Cardinals retaking that 3rd spot, but the Reds are playing well. I mean, they got their corner outfielders are nuts with Winker and Castellanos. They just hit
those two themselves could probably be the only 2 hitters for the NL All-Star team, and still they could come out and put up a fight. Those guys are just excellent hitters, and like that's one of the other things about the Cubs is they didn't refuse to sign, but they didn't re-sign Castellanos after they had him and he produced significantly better than anybody had kind of expected him to. And he kind of, he was great on the Tigers. Like he was really good when like Miggy and, they had their insane pitching staff. Like he was a young gun coming up and like playing with them. And then he gets like a, traded. No, it wasn't traded. He was signed by the Cubs and then went off, had a monster season, played spectacularly. And then they just didn't want to have him back. And the Reds got I think one of the most potent players in baseball at the plate. Like the guy just hits, and then Jesse Winker is just an animal. Like I think they're good. That's a 2. They got their corners pretty good.
Yeah, Castellanos signed 4 years, $64 million in January of 2020 with the Reds. Hit 225 last year in the shortened season, but I mean now he's going off. It's a dangerous team hitting wise, and
speaking of a guy going off. One of our most favorite individuals to talk about because of his, duality of positions that he holds.
I gotcha.
Is Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
I just
nuts.
It's just the guy's able to throw 100 plus, and then I was looking at Baseball Savant and looking at like exit velos, and I just had it up. I'm gonna be mad at myself that I can't find it.
You good? We get some.
He had something up there that he has one of the highest exit velocities, not only for pitching but for hitting. I think it was like 100.8 or something like that this year, like 102, and it's like the 7th percentile. Like the guy is just an absolute athlete.
Nuts.
Let's just say nuts. Like, and you want to know what I love about it is you had at the beginning of like kind of his arrival to the show. You have all this speculation around him. Well, how good can he be? He's from a league that, is notorious for having amazing ball players come and play in MLB. And there's always mixed reviews. Getting back to Ohtani, getting back to Ohtani, the guy is just an all-around athlete. He's like the poster child for a guy that can do it all on the field.
I remember those tweets when he's first coming up where it's like the hype was super real and like, this is going to be great. And next thing you know, you're like, well, he's nothing more than a high school hitter. He's going to have to pick one. And he hasn't been able to like have longevity with his pitching. And now he is. And you look, he's 4-1 with a 3.49. His splitter's disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
He's pitching 13 games. He's got a 1-2 whip. Then you look at hitting, and he's in the last 30 games, 100 at bats, right? 17 bombs in 30 games. Okay. He went on a stretch where if he wasn't hitting a home run, he was giving a quality start through June. Like his numbers for one or the other, right? Like a hitter or a pitcher it's nuts. Yeah. I mean, his last 30 games, he's hitting 320. I mean, OPS is just nuts. It's not.
Well, and let's just say this: he has 32 home runs before the All-Star break,
which he has one tonight.
Yeah,
breaks the record for Hideki Matsui.
I was just gonna say,
with a 1.353 OPS. Like the dude is nuts. Did you see on Twitter the other day? Did I send it to you? There is in 2016. He's 22 years old, right? Mm-hmm. Hits one out of, I think it was the Tokyo Dome. Hits a home run completely out. Like it must have hit a seam or something in the roof. Or whatever.
Went through.
Gone.
Yeah.
That's like incredible. The on deck hitter and the manager are just awestruck. Yeah. Like that just like you say, like baseball's so unpredictable, but when you see something like this, like you just have to appreciate it.
Yeah,
and take it in, because this is a special season for him. There's so many players having special seasons that it's like it's great time to be a baseball fan.
And you're exactly right. And I think it's an excellent example of don't take it for granted, because it's hard to find players that can do both. It's really, really hard. And that's why you see limited success with it. And there was a lot of speculation and kind of nerves with how he, his first couple of seasons in the league, with his UCL issues and kind of like, while hitting interfere with his, body health for pitching, like, because it's taxing both ways. Like trying to commit your body to just pitch is one thing, but then trying to commit your body to throw at least 7 innings, then have 4 plate appearances and like swing out of your shoes, or like, try to, it's difficult. It's taxing stuff. It's hard for people to concentrate on 2 things at once. And now, granted, it's not at once, but you can't tell me that he's not thinking about the next 3 batters he's going to face when he's in the box hitting. I just think that's like in your bones as a pitcher. I think you just do that anyway. But the guy goes out there, breaks the Japanese home run record for Japanese born players in Major League Baseball before the All-Star break. And he has also one of the highest exit velocities on both sides, at the dish and on the bump. Like, just talk about a once in a lifetime opportunity as a fan to sit down and be like, hey, Ohtani's got the ball tonight. Oh, and he's batting 4. Yeah. Like, when is the last time since maybe like, I don't want to say Babe Ruth, but like that's really like the only thing that I can compare it to is the guy that can go up there, call a shot, hit a nuke, and then go out there and throw. And now, granted, I don't know how hard they threw back then, but like just go out there and compete and still succeed as a pitcher. It's really cool. And when you said kind of don't take it for granted, I feel like the Angels are notorious for having amazing ball players that get taken for granted by fans and MLB alike. Mike Trout, arguably the greatest baseball player of our generation, and will likely go down in the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Gets overlooked every year. I always enjoy going back and seeing, year after year, how little coverage or publicity he gets when he goes up there and puts up a 321 average, 130 RBIs, 41 home run, kind of like those kind of numbers. And it's like, oh yeah, he won AL MVP, but let's just not talk about it. Like, how do you do that to the guy? He's like one of the most wholesome, greatest players that I've been able to watch. And it's unfortunate, but at the same time, you're like, hey, these kids can play. Yeah. That's the cool thing.
Well, in the home run race, like at the halfway point, Shohei's leading the league with 32. Vlad Jr. has 28. Tatis has 27. Schwarber, oh my gosh, what a June for him.
Yeah, wow.
Just nuts. In the leadoff spot for Washington, he's at 25. Acuna's at 24. Joey Gallo, home run derby participants, at 23. And then Jared Walsh for the Angels, having himself a good year. He's at, he's hitting 282 with a 911 OPS, and he's got 22 bombs. I mean, this is set up at the halfway point, right, to be a really exciting finish. So let's hope we see that too, to see
I really hope
another great home run chase. Because and
It's been a
look,
while.
Shohei, he just turned 27 on the 5th. Vlad Jr. is young. Tatis is 22, I think. Schwarber is up there in age, but up there.
But yeah, like 28.
It's not like compared to the compared to them. Acuna's younger. Like these guys are like, it's like we said, it's so exciting for the league to see some of these guys, rise to, the occasion of carrying Major League Baseball in a sense.
Yeah. Well, and you can say it the opposite way too. These experienced individuals, you talk about Buster Posey's incredible season. You talk about Craig Kimbrell's incredible season as a Cubs closer. Like these guys have been in the league for, I think Kimbrell's 10 plus years. I know Posey's 10 plus years.
Yeah.
But like these guys have, put their bodies through it all and are still, putting out successful seasons. It just goes to show that it's a ripe and, amazing time to be a baseball fan. And granted, I feel bad because I haven't been able to get into it as much as I'd like to, but I do try to stay in the loop with these things. It's hard not to notice when you see headline after headline for Ohtani hitting, another home run, or you see DeGrom, another, amazing thing. Like he just notched his, 1500th career strikeout. And how many years he's been in the league. That's nuts. Like you just hope for continued success. And you got guys like Miguel Cabrera still, putting in numbers, and like the big story about Pujols getting traded to the Dodgers kind of thing. Like they were still relevant. They're still, I say
he got released by the Angels. Yeah, I got you.
But like you see these guys still saying relevant that were a part of teams like 15 years.
I still remember the Pujols Sports Illustrated article with his swing that like broke it down. That was such a big thing for my little league team, and here he is still, competing at a major league level for the Dodgers.
Yeah,
I mean, Posey enters in 2009. His first big season, full length season, is 2010 when they won the World Series, and he hits 305, and then now he's hitting 328. He's a career 303 hitter for Major League Baseball.
Yeah,
I mean that's as a catcher too. Like that's impressive. I mean, he's a 5th overall pick in 2008, but let's get into our halfway ad break here, and then we'll come back and finish this off with some
for sure
predictions and such.
What do you want to start with?
All right, we're back with the second half. One, we have to apologize. We're really disjointed. We haven't done like one of these baseball episodes before, and there's just so much to cover. So that's on us a little bit for being all over the place, but let's be a little more streamlined in the second half. We're going to have predictions, postseason predictions, right? We gave you the percentages in the previous, first half of this episode. You can also find that on Fangraphs. It probably changes, daily. So we have our playoff field, and this is not at the season end today. This is in,
I think when it will end. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So who are your 5 from the NL? We'll start there.
The NL. Okay. I'm going to start with the second wild card and then work my way up through the division.
To top seed? Okay.
Yeah, to the top seed. So I'm going to start with my second wild card spot is going to be San Diego. I feel like they're going to sit. They're in just such a tough division to, put themselves ahead when they play all the games against the other great teams in the division. At the first wild card spot, this is going to be a shocker to you. I have Los Angeles Dodgers.
Really?
Yeah. I'm really getting on the San Fran boat. I think
the giant hype train we had in the first half.
I think so. Okay. So then at the 3 seed, I have the winner of the NL East as New York Mets.
Okay.
At the 2 seed, NL Central winner Milwaukee Brewers, and at the number 1 seed in the NL, Giants. I have San Francisco Giants.
Interesting.
With the best record in baseball too. I'm gonna go on a limb and say that.
Wow, clip that. You think? Okay, so do you think they make a move then for another starter? Do you think they're?
You want to know what I think actually might happen?
The train falls apart. What?
I'm gonna. This is a pretty long shot, but I think that a lot of teams are going to turn into sellers that people thought would be buyers at the in the preseason. So Chicago Cubs probably going to sell, if I'm going to be honest with you. Dropping 11 games straight. Lose the 8.5 games back behind the Brewers at the All-Star break when they were so ahead and they had all this momentum. They're just if they can't turn it around in the next 5 to 10 games and, win more games than they're losing, I think you're going to start to see this conversation escalate really quickly. And one of their things that they're known for, now granted that they're not known for recently because of how poorly they've been performing, is their bullpen. And they have two amazing pieces in their bullpen right now that are pretty solidified, but they could be up for grabs, and that's Kimbrel and Tepera. So
Tepera's had a good season.
I think those two guys, not on a hot seat because they're playing poorly. I think they're just playing really, really well in an already talent lacking bullpen that has kind of somehow pieced itself together and performed for the 3/4 of the first half of the season.
Yeah.
But that's what I think the San Francisco might be looking for some bullpen arms. But they got Mark Melancon is having an incredible season for them still. Yeah.
San Diego? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm talking about that. I'm going to try to transition. I think it's really hard to see any NL West team part ways with anybody besides Arizona, Colorado. I don't think San Fran, LA, San Diego are going to lose anybody in their bullpen that isn't an essential part. Like it might be a AAA, prospect coming up, whatever. But I think that's where we're going to see the money moves are in bullpens, because we have known this for a long time that pitching is going to win you ball games in the postseason. It is essential.
The Giants are in a unique spot. Fangraphs has them projected to finish third in the division. I have them as my number 5 wild card. I think that they kind of start to fizzle out. I think they still squeak in. Yeah. But I don't see anybody else right now that maybe the Reds, put up a fight at the end and compete for the division, and then it puts the Brewers in a weird spot. Yeah. That's the homer in me. But like the Braves have kind of been this disappointment. They're 2 under. But they have the talent to turn it on too. So that'll be interesting in the East, because I have we have the same 5 right now, but my NL East I think is I don't know. I'm not solidified with that, nor the Central, but I had San Francisco in the 5 spot in the wild card, the Padres, and then the Mets with the 3 seed, and then the Brewers 2, Dodgers 1, as of right now. So
you are probably more realistic. It's just the one that I don't want to see. I don't want to see the number 1 seed be that blue and gray. I can't do it anymore. I'm really tired of it.
All right, so I'll start with my AL. So the Yankees are in a tough spot for me, right? Chapman's been blowing games. Yeah, they can't pitch. They're just, but they have the talent, and I think they can make a run that makes the AL East remnants of the NL West with a 3-horse potential. And that's not to say the Blue Jays, they're 3 up. They're 3 over 500. I think they're a couple years out from being where they really want to be. Yeah. But I have the Yankees as the last wild card. Wow. Looking at everyone else, like the only other one I think would be close is the Athletics, and they're 4.5 back. Maybe that's the safer bet. I think it's a coin flip with me with those two, because the Yankees are only 2 over 500 and the A's are 9. But I know, offhand, that could change, but I know that the Yankees have guys that have been there before. Yeah. And then I have the Rays as my 4. The other wild card. Moving to the AL Central, I think the White Sox are in a really good position. They did. Yasmani's hurt. They have injuries. They have the potential to be good down the stretch. I have them as my 3. Red Sox as my 2. I think the 2-3 can kind of flip depending on what the White Sox do at the end. And also it'll be interesting to see if Tyler Glasnow comes back for the Rays. I know he had a elbow injury, but I don't think it needed Tommy John. So he said he'll be back in time. But that also is a big deal, because if he comes back in September and gives them a couple good starts to kind of, push them. But then I have Houston at 1. As much as I hate to say it, with their history, man, they're hitting. Like Michael Brantley's having an unreal season. Talk about another experienced guy that's been tearing it up. Yordan Alvarez, Yuli Gurriel, like all these guys are doing well for the Astros, Trastros, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah, whatever.
So what do you, are you on a similar wavelength there?
I like your Chicago White Sox. I'm going to start top to bottom on this one. I really like the White Sox. as the favorites in the AL Central. Just looking at record-wise run differential,
Sure.
every team in the AL Central, besides the White Sox, has a negative run differential, meaning that they've given up more runs than they have scored. And
not a big run differential guy.
I look at it in a couple ways. It means that they're hitting the baseball pretty well, and they're pitching good enough to compare to their hitting, I think. You have Rodon throwing a no-hitter this year. He got just a pretty solid overall team. Tim Anderson, you said Grandal's hurt, so they've been making it work really well for having limited, resources. So they're my actual number one seed. I have the Chicago White Sox having the number one seed.
Does this change it? Yasmani has a knee tendon surgery today.
No, I think they're fine.
Okay.
Yerwin's good.
He got sent down, dude. After he hit that 3-0 nuke, he's hitting like sub 2. Yeah. Okay, continue.
And so then kind of a reiteration of what I said before. I think Tampa Bay comes out and squeaks out the AL East. I really do. I think they're a good coherent ball club. Tropicana's a dump, but I won't go into that.
That's my 30th stadium to visit.
Well, you want to know? It's really funny that they're almost playing as good at home as they are away. So it's kind of a good little comparison. But this is where it gets a little into the weeds, because I think Houston drops off here. I really do. I think all good things must come to an end. I think the baseball gods and karma have something to do with this, just because, the whole scandal. I think their luck runs out. And I'm not saying that they're fueled by luck. They have really skilled ball players on that club. But I have them. Unreal. They still win, their division, but they're the third seed in the AL. And then, to much surprise, I have Boston with the first wild card, and then I have Oakland.
Okay, yeah, I like that Oakland pick.
I don't want to say they're a safe playoff bet, but you have the Mariners, who have really wishy-washy pitching, in my opinion. Yeah, and their hitting is, they have players in the right, parts of the order that are producing for them, but you don't hear too much about the Seattle hitters hitting above 300 or the pitchers with the sub 3 ERA. It's just they're making it work with what they have, and sooner or later the wheels fall off. That's just how it works. But you have these pretty 3 powerful teams that, besides the AL East, you have the White Sox leading the Central, you have Houston leading the West, and you have a 2.5 game split between Boston, who is in front, and Tampa Bay, who's in second. You have these teams that are pretty competitive, and it shows because the rest of their divisions aren't as competitive to them. They're beating up themselves, the bottom 4, bottom 3. So it'll be interesting to see. I really hope that I'm picking this with actual statistical information in my head, and not I don't want to see the Dodgers win, even though they'll probably be the 1 seed. It'd be cool to see San Francisco maintain their, kind of.
That's a good story.
Their momentum, because it's good for baseball. So
well, dude, the Mariners are 4 over 500. The Angels are 2 over 500.
Yeah, these teams that you wouldn't
Trout
think.
Right now, they the AL West is a division to look for, I think. The Angels would be great to see Shohei and Trout in the postseason. So
Jared Walsh, all-star. They have an incredible lineup, and their staff is putting up good numbers for them, and it's good to see.
All right, let's go to the wild card round. I have the Rays over the Yankees there. I think even in game 1, I hate to say it, Yankees fans, I think there'll be an implosion starting pitching, and then at Tropicana too. That's kind of a tough thing. I think even if the Rays play the A's, the Rays win. They just win.
I think the Rays win. For me, those 2 stadiums, the Rays and the A's, hold the 2 stadiums that I want to visit the least.
The Coliseum.
So I think that's
it's a battle of the dumpy stadium.
Yeah. And no offense to Ricky Henderson Field, but I can't do it. I can't do it. So I think that's a pretty good thing. I do have, however, my AL wild card.
Either way, we're screwed.
Yeah, for my AL wild card, I have Boston edging out Oakland. I think. Okay. I think they have the star power to.
Chris Sale was saying he might be back in time for the stretch too. So that's because they need a starter, and he thinks he can be that piece. And Xander Bogaerts and Rafael Devers right now. It's
and JD, right? JD's still out there, but is he hurt?
I'm not sure.
whatever.
We're out of the loop. So
that's exactly right.
Take our takes as as they come, I guess. Because
pretty face value. We have
like
not too much.
We know what to look for with with stats and stuff. But okay, so divisional round, I have Houston over the Rays with the 1 seed there. They get home field, and then I have the Red Sox over the White Sox. I don't think the White Sox are there yet.
So it's right. It's a 1 and 4, and then 2 and 3. So that's the seeding.
Yeah.
So 4. I'm saying 4 is the
4 is the wild card winner.
The wild card winner, but there's the 4 and 5 in my book too. So okay. I have that means for me, Tampa Bay and Houston duke it out, and unfortunately, I really hate to say, that's my 2 and 3. I unfortunately think that Houston wins that game or wins that series. Mm-hmm. And then I have obviously the White Sox going on to to play Boston, and I think the White Sox still maintain it. I just don't. I have
we have the same divisional round there.
Yeah, as much as I don't want that to happen, because Cubs White Sox, it's a really kind of harsh back and forth north-south rivalry type deal, but they're a good ball club. You got to give credit when credit is due. They're a good ball club, and I think they have enough in the tank to do it. So I think they win, and I'm gonna be honest, I think they win
it all
to represent AL in the World Series.
Okay, so I have Houston having the pennant there. Just a realistic point of view for
it me. Is. I think you're exactly right. That's a great. I'd much rather have the White Sox win, but
I think your takes are a little more hot.
And
I think that's which is what I like, because it's like I want to stay I don't know if it's because I don't want to be wrong, but I just see
I could care less if I'm wrong. I would enjoy it most as a spectator. Be like, hey, these are different teams.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
It's the perfect example. NBA
Suns.
Finals. Yes, Bucks Suns. Like two really small market teams duking it out for the finals. I love
Dumpy
to see
cities. Apparently,
apparently,
one's really hot, one's really terrible. Okay, so wild card round for the NL. Sorry, thanks ESPN. Okay, so I have San Francisco at San Diego, Petco Park. I have San Diego taking that one. I think Darvish has a good game. Kevin Gausman starts for the Giants.
You think his luck runs out?
Yeah, I think it's a really good game. Maybe Tatis hits 2 nukes and one's a walk-off and Petco goes bananas. But I have San Diego winning that.
Okay, so that is your
that's my 4.
Those are your 2. Yeah, those are your 2 wild cards. Okay, so I have Dodgers San Diego. That's kind of my 2 wild card matchups. And again, I'm picking for
that's a big wild card.
That's
one game win it all.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And you want to know, with the shroud of mystery as to what's going to happen this year with a and I shall name her Mystery.
Okay, good.
But with the shroud of uncertainty against a certain player, kind of going through the news right now, a really hot commodity on a pitching staff, and not having that uncertainty. And then you have, the really experienced Clayton Kershaw, who's pitched in almost every playoff series that the Dodgers have been in his time as as an LA Dodger. And so you have that as a backbone, but then you got these younger guys too. They're going to go out there and compete, but at the same time, San Diego has just got that. I feel like they've got that grit. They got these young guys that just want to go out there and just stick it to baseball, because again, you see San Diego coming under scrutiny with how they reacted with Fernando Tatis's home run. When they were up 7 or some runs like that in the 8th inning, you saw that, and I think they're just ready to just give it to baseball. I think they're really ready, and I think the best way to do it is to beat up on the best team in baseball for the past 10 years. I really do. I think
you got San Diego.
That was a really long-winded version of me saying I think San Diego wins the wild card.
Jesus, you got 3 words you could
get it out.
San Diego wins. Boom. Here's Austin dancing. You should run for office somewhere.
No.
Okay, so divisional. I have the Padres playing at the Dodgers. Quick 3-hour road trip for them. I have San Diego. San Diego wins.
Hey, there we go. That's all we
in
need.
What is it, the divisional? So 5 maybe. I think it's a really good series. Again, like you said, with the questionability of Trevor Bauer, we'll see what happens with that. I think they still have the pitching to get
I do
them.
too.
I mean,
But I
Walker
will say
Buehler
it takes a
is
hit.
good
Yeah.
in big games. And I think, that takes me to the other series here with the Brewers and the Mets. And I really don't like to be a big homer, but I do have the Brewers winning that one and losing the DeGrom game. The first losing game one.
Yeah, game one. Yeah, the game they lose is the game when they
game one at American Family Field. Yeah.
Yeah. And you want to know what's gonna suck is that they're gonna put like Woodruff or Burns out there and they're gonna pitch amazing. It's gonna be like a 1-0 ball game. They go into like the 8th or 9th inning.
Yep.
And then something stupid is gonna happen. Like that's how, because you've probably been there at that point. Like you just sitting there like, are we really doing this to our guys? We're putting the two aces out there and just duke it out. And then sadly, one of them has to lose after a stellar performance. I feel like that's what's going to happen. So that's a really good take there. I like that.
Okay. So that puts us at the NLCS. I have the Padres, Brewers, really long trip for the 2-3-2 series. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, I think the Brewers, because I've experienced this story for 10 years. I think the Brewers losing the CS, watch it be like Game 7 again, and the Padres, it'll be Padres, Astros right now is my prediction, and obviously this will change, but that's my World Series right now.
All right, so I obviously said in a very long-winded fashion, I said San Diego wins the wild card, and they go on to face San Francisco, and talk about I think one of the best series in the playoffs. You're going to have, experienced team going against the young Bucks, kind of same thing as the Dodgers. And I think that's divisional round. So that's going to go all the way to the end. And I actually think San Francisco is going to come out on top of that one and retain their, positioning as they kind of are as the number one seed in all baseball right now. But you have the other divisional round, Milwaukee and New York, the Mets. I'm going to be a partial homer because I'm not fully a Brewers fan, but I do support them. I think you're exactly right. They lose the DeGrom game and they go out and the Brewers go out there and win the rest of them just because it's just,
I think it's tough though, because Taijuan Walker and Stroman are having good years, and that's 3 guys in a 5-game series.
Yeah. I know what you're saying.
I mean, but you still, if Woodruff, Burns, and Peralta have, still have good season or continue their success, I think it's a good series, and we're getting a taste of it now. They lost the Brewers lost the first one today.
So my NLCS is Milwaukee, San Francisco, and
interesting.
Sorry, Brewers fans.
Oh,
sorry,
dude,
Brewers fans.
Bro.
I got Giants, White Sox. It's gonna be like old times. It's gonna be like it's gonna be like Willie Mays and like that era, like you're gonna see on like a newspaper ad in like the 50s of like the White Sox is doing really well. It's just that's what it feels like because you don't see that matchup happening too often. Like a gritty AL Central, having to beat up the rest of the 4 teams, come out with a, not an optimal record, but a record that's good enough to get them the number 1 seed in AL compared to the rest of the teams. And then you got I think the Giants, they're going to be the 2021 favorites, I feel like, for a good portion of the season if they keep the wheels going. But weirder things have happened.
Yeah, that's true. All right, that puts us at what's your World Series then? Yours is Giants and
White Sox.
Giants, White Sox.
Yep, Giants, White Sox. And I'm going to say Giants in 6.
That's not at your take. That's at an inside joke with Giants in 6. But
no, that's actually my take, and I'm thinking about it because I think they win with Gausman, and then the White Sox probably put out Rodon first game, but like I really don't know how to put it. I think it's just going to be a battle to the end, and one of the teams is going to get away with something really early on in a game, a bad call or something like that. It's just going to set the tone early in that series, and then it's going to be a kind of a back and forth match from there.
I think I'm going to go with I got Padres, Astros. I think I'm going to go 6 games as well, and I'll go Padres in 6.
Nice.
I think
I'd like to see that.
I think pitching wise, they got Ryan Presley's having a really good year for the Astros. They have Greinke, they have Verlander, right? Or is he hurt?
Yeah. I haven't seen much. I think he's hurt. Yeah.
Regardless, I think it just comes down to limiting their hitting. But yeah, we have 2 Southern California team or not Southern California, 2 California teams. Yeah, it'll be interesting down the stretch. Let's wrap it up here. We got another exciting baseball episode coming either next week or the week after. So
you guys are gonna look out for that. I feel like
it's a really good one. Okay, so home run derby.
Yep,
it's tonight. You got Shohei, Pete Alonso, Trevor Story, Trey Mancini, Salvador Perez, Matt Olson, Juan Soto, and Joey Gallo. Who, I don't know what the bracket looks like. It's Wednesday. So who's your favorite and who's your surprise? Let's do that. Favorite that you think is going to win, and your second option that's would be a great storyline.
Okay, so believe it or not, there's somebody that I want to succeed the least out of this because I am probably caring more about how they do the entire part of the season, and you could probably guess this from our conversation. I don't want Ohtani to do so hot in this for one reason.
Okay,
I don't want him to fall into. I don't think he will because I think he's a ball player that can manage this. But what I was talking about before, the curse of the home run derby. I really enjoy watching Ohtani stat line say 2 home runs in a game, or I want that to be preserved the entirety of the season as much as his health and as much as his body allows it. So I don't really care if he does, insanely well or insanely bad. I don't want that mindset to be like, oh, the guy wins a home run derby and then he's expected to hit, 60 nukes in a season. I don't like that kind of not stereotype, but like that. So I could really care less if he does really well in this. If it was at the end of the season, I'd want him to win the whole thing. But since it's in the middle,
that'd be a treat.
Yeah, I think Joey Gallo has one of the best home run derby swings I have ever seen, just from either playing MLB The Show or watching him actually play the game. I just think it's a smooth swing. So he's my favorite to win. Okay. But I think a subtle surprise, you're going to enjoy this one because of an inside joke that we have. Trey Mancini, I think, is going to come out there and just slug. I think he's going to do it. I think he will. Because he smokes homers off of us on rookie when we play on the show. And I don't think I've ever played a card in that game that does that. And that's a really biased and, unsubstantially based with evidence kind of a decision. But I think the guy's got it. He's got an excellent story, cancer survivor, all this sort of stuff, goes out there and he just does it. He just hits. He'll probably I think he makes it to whatever their final round is in their bracket kind of a thing. So I think so.
Yeah, that's a really good storyline. I don't know, because I haven't been there. I haven't been in a position where it's like I can choose to, try to hit tanks or, preserve my mentality at the dish.
Yeah. They all opted in to do this.
There's been people that opted out.
Exactly.
So, okay, Tatis, I think, opted out. And okay, so what do we got? We got Shohei, Pete Alonso could defend his title. I think he could give a good showing. I like Trevor Story for the storyline, because my first choice was Trey Mancini, but I don't. What a story, right? That would be incredible. To see him go far in this and win it, hopefully, because again, people may say that it doesn't really mean much, but home run derby champ, that's awesome. That's stuff you do with wiffle ball, in your backyard. So I want him to do really well. I mean, Salvador Perez is a great story too. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time, right? 15 with the Royals, had a great year and they won it. Man, as far as a favorite, I like your Gallo pick. I got Baseball Savant and they show random videos and you can filter it to be home runs, and it's a great home run swing.
It's it's like a Jim Thome kind of swing to me. There's just I'm biased towards lefty hitters. I think they have the best. I think that's one of the most beautiful things life has to offer is a left-handed home run swing. I just think Ken Griffey Jr. I think the most perfect swing ever. Just it's just something. It's appealing to the eye. So that's why Joey Gallo is really my favorite. But
I think I got to go with the trend. Shohei's my favorite, I think.
Okay.
And I want Trevor Story as my two for a great story.
Hometown hero, yeah.
Because I mean he's hit BP in there for years.
Yeah.
But really, I'm looking at this field. Gallo's a great pick.
It's going to be fun
at
to
Olson.
watch.
Even it is going to be a fun home run derby to watch
because it's Coors Field.
Exactly.
Because it's Coors Field. Ball flies Coors Field, so that's why it's going to be cool.
Regardless of all the stuff with Atlanta and the moving, but so that's that's what we got. We'll
Yeah.
let's revisit this in October.
Yeah, that'll be
even
fun.
if we do like a mini episode and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Anything else? Go Bucks first.
Yeah,
one.
go Bucks. Obviously, you know what? It's actually an NBA Finals that I would, as hard pressed as I'd be to like say, oh man, the Suns won. Like, good for the Suns. Talk about a bottom barrel. Both teams, Bucks and Suns, 6-7 years ago weren't expected to do jack squat. It's like the Nets too. Like now they have the super team. But little short rant. Either way, I think the NBA gets a cool and kind of great winner out of this series. Now, granted, I want it to be the Bucks, but the Suns, it'd be cool to, give CP3 a ring, kind of like all this sort of stuff. Devin Booker, excellent player, all these things. So go Bucks though, without a doubt. But
we will get into sticky stuff later. I want to see how the rest of the season kind of,
that could be a whole episode on its own.
Yeah, because I have again some opinions and some takes on it.
Yeah, me too. And we might actually have different takes, to be honest with you.
And what they should do, moving forward. And again, our opinions are worth whatever anyway,
much apparently, but whatever.
Next week we have a Michael episode. Be on the lookout for that. Really fun stuff. We took an episode idea from a different really big media company. We're doing our spin on it. And then I think we're going back to back with that for 50 and 51, and then year-long special. That's 3 weeks out. We're glad you took your Monday or whenever day. And if our takes are crap, come Tuesday with the the home run derby, let us know.
Yeah, please. Please do.
Peace.
Peace out.